The Final Furlong podcast is presented by 1xBet Ireland. With over 7,000 events available every day, fast withdrawals, and exclusive new customer offers, 1xBet puts you in control. 18 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. And now, here's your host, Emmet Kennedy.
One step closer to the greatest show on turf, and I'm delighted to say that we are joined by a man who has ridden multiple Grade 1 winners at the Cheltenham Festival in the shape of Aidan Coleman, and a man who has tipped and backed multiple Grade 1 winners at the Cheltenham Festival in total performance status, Adam Mills. It's a pleasure to have both of you on the show, lads. We're going to get straight into it. We're looking at the novices, novice chasers and novice hurdlers, and first up is the Arkle Chase, which is going to be a fascinating running this year. Aidan Coleman, cliched question for you. If there was any horse you could ride in the Arkle, who would it be and why?
Oh, without sitting on the fence, it's very, very hard to answer that. I can see holes in Lulamba and in, just say, Kopek Des Bordes. We'll just pick them two for now. I would love to see Kopek Des Bordes coming here with a little bit more experience. I just think he wasn't the best jumper over hurdles, was he? And he's coming here after one run where he was brilliant, but it was a schooling session that day at Navan, wasn't it? And I just worry about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do too.
Worry about that. Lulamba, I think if he is anywhere in touch from the third last, he will probably win this race, but I do worry about the first mile of this race with him. An interesting one I think would be solid, even though it would be a bit sharp for him, would be if Romeo Coolio rocked up in this, he would definitely lead him to turning in to at least the last probably, and then maybe if something's got a bit more speed than him, they might pick him up. But he's very, very good jumper, very straightforward horse, and you'd have a proper run for your money if you had a few quid in him, and if he does go to Cheltenham at all or in this race. So
I think we've talked about this quite a few times now at this point. To me, he just looks like a better horse over further. He was really good in Chase debut. He was brilliant in the Drinmore. That's not to say he can't win an Arkle by any stretch of the imagination, but the run in the Dublin Racing Festival, it produced 7 individual winners last year, but that ground, and it's been well talked about. Is that a concern in your mind?
Oh yeah, there's loads of concerns. I just think he'll still rock up. I'm pretty sure if he does go to Cheltenham, Gordon will be happy with him, because I would imagine he probably would want him to go to stay in Ireland or something like that for a race more suitable. So if he really wasn't happy with him, he probably would, especially this year when he's going for his own trainer's title, he probably would say, look, this horse needs another week or 2 or 3 or whatever, and hold him for summer back home. But if he is any bit right, he will be, I think, and the owners want to go, he will be at Cheltenham, won't he?
Yeah.
And if he does go to Cheltenham, I can see him running in this race and not the 3-mile.
Yeah, I agree. I was saying earlier in the season, I thought the Brown Advisory would be ideal for him. I still do think that, but in the interest of the horse's development, given how young he is and how exciting he is, it's probably best for him to not have the guts ripped out of him running over 3 miles first time out at Cheltenham now. You did sort of do the spoiler alert there, though. I think listening to the way Gordon's talking about him, it doesn't seem to me, Adam, like he really wants to run, whereas the owners absolutely do. But look, it looks like he's going to go, and if he does, he's going to go for the Arkle. Romeo Coolio would be the horse that Aidan would ride. Is there any piece of data that hasn't been properly talked about yet? And we're going to have Paige Fuller doing the Race IQ breakdown for us on Wednesday. But is there anything you've seen over the last while that points you closer to a decision into who to back in the Arkle?
Yeah, kind of. At the time when Lulamba won at Newbury, I was like, that wasn't that impressive. You know, I know it was against older and more experienced horses, but it was a Grade 2. I don't think any of those horses are likely to be anywhere near sort of the Champion Chase or the Ryanair or anything like that. But actually, when I watched it back, and then I watched it back side by side with the jumping data, I realised kind of actually what Nico was doing was he didn't really care if he won the game spirit. His view was, I want to educate this horse, I want to get him behind horses. He's on the inside on soft ground at Newbury with 2 horses in front of him for a lot of it. Lulamba's jumping isn't great, but actually I think it's because Lulamba's like, I don't really want to be here, boss. Can you pull me out or give me some space? Because if you give me a bit of space, I'll go. Because if you watch off the home turn, Lulamba goes out to about 3-1 in running, comes off the bridle for a few strides. You think he's in real trouble. And then suddenly he sees daylight when they fan out, and he's just like, I'm gone. Away I go. Quick and clear. Really impressed with the way he jumped in the closing stages, and his jumping consistency got better as he goes through. I do wonder if part of this is visually Lulamba doesn't look like a very good jumper, and I think he's very safe, and he kind of gets over the fence and then quickens again rather than meeting on the stride. But I wonder if in a better race he might be a better jumper, and maybe I'm just seeing it wrong. Now, I'm not saying I really want to take 6-4, 7-4. I think it's a bit short. Kopek Des Bordes is just how I don't really know how anyone could back it. How can you back it? You've got no idea. It was a very, very, very polished performance at 2-9 in a beginner's chase where he beat Lovely Hurling. Now, Lovely Hurling, if you draw a line through a few of the other horses that he's come second to, is kind of there or thereabouts, but Lovely Hurling's not going to win an Arkle. So what do we really know? You'd have to rely on Willie Mullins to get him ready, and he certainly can. I don't know, Romeo Coolio. I'm not. I could see this will set up all right because there'll be a decent pace for him to aim at, but I have a suspicion that run at the DRF is going to bottom those two out. Because for a 3-runner race, that looked one hell of a slog and a real dire effort from both of them after the last to get home. So it's kind of like, but then the problem with that is I don't like having each way bets where I think the win price is unrealistic.
Yeah.
And Irish Panther could get loose on the front end, should travel in front. I quite like that on the old course. Don't think he's good enough to win. Steel Ally the same. Kapajai Pike and Salvatore Mundi both have good form, particularly Kapajai Pike. That form with Jacob's Ladder looks really good. But again, Willie Mullins, second or third string, surely Paul Tanner rides Kopek Des Bordes and says, this is where I'm going, you two can sort yourselves out. So it's kind of a little bit messy until you know the exact makeup. If you forced me to say what would win, I'd say it'll probably be Lulamba, but I wouldn't like. I just think he's a bit short because I just think there's that thing of British novice chases, Irish novice chases, and the Irish ones are much higher and much stronger in my opinion. But Lulamba might improve, so I'm really going to have to sit on the fence with this one. I haven't had a bet.
What about the 5-year-old stat, Adam?
I don't worry about that.
You don't mind?
I mean, to be fair, Aidan, as far as I'm concerned, Lulamba won the Triumph. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. I'm never wrong about the Triumph Hurdle. It didn't happen. Just forget that. He'd have won it. But the one thing I'd say about the 5-year-old stat is I would argue, really, I can only think of Madgeborough in the last few years who's been on the same kind of level as Lulamba over hurdles. They're both Triumph Hurdle winners or good enough. And Madgeborough would have won the Arkle if he could jump.
If he didn't bring it, yeah.
So I don't think the age thing is a particular experience. Lulamba's also quite a big horse. He's jumped fixed brush hurdles in France. I think he'll get over them fine. I think that stat is something like we wheeled out. Like last year, everyone's like, oh, you can't win the Challow and win at Cheltenham. The Challow's a bollocks race. Well, actually, nothing as fast as the New Lion has won the Challow for a very long time.
Yeah. Because
Paul Nicholls has farmed it with King George types. And then a horse with a bit of turn of foot turns up, goes to Cheltenham, breaks the curse, as they say. So I don't worry too much about the 5-year-old. And what I'd also sort of be looking at is kind of, well, Kopek Des Bordes had 4 runs over hurdles, and he's going chasing with 1 start. Lulamba had 4 runs over hurdles, and he's now going chasing with 3 starts. Mm-hmm. So if anything, Lulamba's the more experienced of the 2.
Yeah, true.
So I'm not so worried about the age thing. It's a really messy race. I wouldn't put you off anything, but I think
I like Jax Jr. at a bit of a price, actually.
Yeah, that Lucy Wadham said, doesn't she? I just think the only thing I would say is if you're going to back something at a bit of a price, you might have to accept that you're going to need both of the top 2 to bomb out to win.
Yeah,
and if they both run their race, which is why I haven't gone in on anything yet. If Lulamba and Kopek Des Bordes run their race, they'll be in the first 3. So suddenly, any each way bet, you're really pushing for 1 place.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing that puts me off at this stage.
Yeah.
Experience hasn't been as much of a thing in the Arkle in recent years. I mean, Django Bai only had the 2 starts when he won it last year. El Fabiolo only had 2 starts when he managed to nail John Bunn a couple of years ago. Not to bring that up too much. And of course, the Pipe team won it with horses who'd only raced once in Well Chief, a Triumph Hurdle winner, or Triumph Hurdle runner-up, moral winner of the Triumph Hurdle. And somehow, Western Warhorse, I still don't understand how he did that, particularly seeing as I had a docket saying Champagne Fever first forecast with Western Warhorse, straight, not reversed. Genius decision on my part there. Absolute genius, that was. But Kopek Des Bordes has not been seen by the time this race comes around for 113 days. And as much as Willie Mullins is a genius, that preparation is just, it's not good, Aidan.
Yeah. Well, he was going to Leopardstown at Christmas, wasn't he, until declaration time, and then he didn't appear, and then he didn't make the DRF or anything in between, and he's coming here. Well, so is he even going to line up? I'm pretty sure he is. He looks like he has been doing plenty, but like...
Well, that's a fair point, though. That's happened twice now.
Yeah.
And some people will tell you he appeared mysteriously in the declarations in one of those races and then suddenly disappeared from it. How would you feel Paul Townend will approach this race on him? Because, I mean, Paul's going to ride him. I'm sure.
I think he'll just go. I think he'll ride him fairly forward down the middle, but just let him look what he's doing and see where he gets on. But when Nico will be somewhere in behind.
One of the concerns of this horse last season was, is he going to boil over? Was he going to be able to handle the cauldron of the Cheltenham Festival? Which, to be fair, he did. If anything, he almost looked too relaxed going around.
Yeah.
But then he completely...
There'll be a lot of pressure coming in this time around, mind, won't he?
He will, and then he completely boils over at Punchestown. And normally I'd be very forgiving of a horse bombing out at Punchestown, but when you're looking at a 2-1 second favourite who hasn't run for 113 days, now you have to factor that in, I think.
100%, yeah.
So we're all skipping him. Best of luck if he wins, and good luck to you. Aidan's going to go at Romeo Coolio. You respect Jax Jr. If I pull you off the fence, Adam, you're going to side with?
If you really tear the splinters out my backside, I'll have a little go on Salvatore Mundi, but it will be tiny stakes.
Okay.
Purely because I think Salvatore Mundi is arguably one of the best of these over hurdles. Certainly in what he did at Aintree. He came good in the spring last year. His jumping isn't amazing, but it got better at Turners, admittedly in a race where he was the only one trying. But it was very good, and it was quite fluent. And what you know is if Lulamba in the race, Salvatore Mundi is the owner's second string, Willie Mullins' third string, probably. You know, he's going to get a nice quiet ride, which I think he needs. He needs a thinking ride. He might run into a place, but again, that's sort of the problem is really his win price should probably be 75s, something like that. But his chance of finishing in the first three is probably 7-2. So it's kind of weighing up the balance of that bet. And if I was going to have a tenner on Salvatore Mundi, which I might do for a bit of interest, but I'd be kind of thinking, well, I'll have £7.58 on the place, and I'll just have a couple of quid in case he wins, because I just think the two at the head of the market, I'm kind of playing for place money if they both run their race, and I don't really want to be doing that. If I'm going to go each way, it's because I think the favourite's got a hole in him. Well, Lulamba doesn't have a hole in him. It's just whether he's fast enough.
Yeah, there's a couple of horses that are still priced up by 1xBet in the non-runner no bet market that if they line up, they will be significantly shorter than they are now. Salvatore Mundi will not be a 20-1 shot if he runs in this race, and yet that's the price you can get about him right now in Ireland. So I wouldn't put anybody off taking that. The thing that confused me about this race when I was going back through it again this morning is reading Paige Fuller's excellent Race IQ data pack. There's a line at the end. Romeo Coolio's win time at Leopardstown at Christmas was 6.3 seconds quicker than Solness over course and distance at the same meeting. And then Aidan Coleman comes on the show and starts telling us that Romeo Coolio is actually the really interesting one. And so having drawn a line through him last week and going, well, he can't win because that was too hard a race and this distance isn't going to suit him, all of a sudden he's back in. So the reason I took Adam Mills off the fence is because I am firmly planting myself on that right now. Neutral territory for me at the moment without deciding who to back. I would probably just about lean with Lulamba, but not massively.
It's going to be a good race, isn't it?
It's going to be a cracker. It's going to be a cracker. And one of the points that Gavin Lynch was making on the show last week is there's so many, you can have very bullish opinions for all 28 races if you want, but some of these races are absolutely explosive. The Supreme, which we're going to come back to, is explosive. This one is a fascinating race as well, as is the next Novice Chase we're about to talk about. First of all, this episode is brought to you by 1xBet. If you're betting in Ireland, you can click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website in Ireland. More than 7,000 events for you to get stuck into every single day, including betting on the Cheltenham Festival, where the anti-post betting markets are available for you to peruse right now. New customer sign-up offers, fast withdrawals. It's all there for you. 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly, the official betting partner of Paris Saint-Germain and Barcelona FC, and of course teaming up now with Punchestown and the Curragh as well. Click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website in Ireland. To the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. First question goes to you again, Aidan Coleman. We've got a horse who at the start of the season I think most people were extremely excited about what is Final Demand going to do this season, and then he has that what looked to be an explosive chase debut. It was the greatest chase debut of any horse ever. He's then a Grade 1 winner on his second start. He's now 3-1, having been even money with 1xBet. Do you trust him to win the Brown Advisory?
I actually do. I wasn't blown away with him at Limerick. I was kind of expecting a bit more, but you'd forgive him because obviously he won and whatever, you know. And then when he got beat at the DRF, it has kind of knocked the confidence a lot. But I think he only has to beat, obviously, Willie's other one, Kate and how do you pronounce it?
Kate Doughty.
or Doughty.
Well, you would know. He was your boss.
No, never was my boss. No, I just wrote a few for them. That's about it.
Oh, is this one of these gentlemen's agreements things?
Well, every jump jockey's a gentleman's agreement, bar about 2.
Okay.
I think in England, the last few years I was riding, Darryl Jacob was the only one on a retainer. I don't think anyone else is on a retainer.
Except Oisin Murphy, but that's on the flat.
Oh, that's on the flat. There's about they have about 5. Every one of them have about 5 retainers. But over jumps, there's no retainers.
Okay.
And there never really has been that much. Obviously, AP had one when he was there, but I can't really remember any others.
It's interesting how the media talks about stuff and how things actually go on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Anyway, not to delve too much into what's going on behind the scenes with various different jockeys and jockeys switching and all sorts. Cade Doughty, what did you make of his performance at the DRF? Because he's a horse that Willie Mullins has always considered to be Grade 1 class, and it says that he's now finally showing him what he shows him at home.
Yeah, like I'd be quite. To me, he's probably a bit more valued than Final Demand now because he's coming in here on form, whereas Final Demand is not. Obviously, both trained by Willie, so that's not really an angle you can take. And yeah, I'd probably switch allegiances. Like I don't have any great opinion on this race. I don't really. I think I wish they got rid of this one instead of the 2.5. That would be.
Can you expand on that for me?
I just think, you look at Romeo Coolio and a few more, they're not going to go the 3 miles. If you're in between, you're really coming back in trip. You're not going up, are you? And I think they're only young horses within reason. I think 3 miles at Cheltenham is look. I think if they're going to get rid of one race, I just thought they would have got rid of this one. Let those novices start, kind of get their career over 2.5 around the stiffish Cheltenham, is better than. I probably would have done the 2.5 on the new course is what I would have done.
Right.
So stiffer course.
And they've decided to extend the distance of the Brown Advisory as well. We're going to 3 mile 1, so it's mimicking the Ultima.
Yeah, but it's on the tighter track, isn't it? So it's
not as significant as the stamina sapping new course.
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Because if you ran that over on the new course, it'd be nearly 3.2, wouldn't it?
So, is your concern with Final Demand? This is a horse who came into Cheltenham last season, a very strong favourite for the Turners Novice Hurdle. Maybe didn't quite get up the hill. Perhaps you could argue he just wasn't suited by that distance. But then he also faces proper Grade 1 competition and a stable companion at the DRF, and he melts.
Yeah, and I said I wasn't gone on the Limerick performance either.
Yeah. And also,
it wouldn't blow me away.
Turns out there's quite a few horses who can beat Gold Dancer by 8 lengths. Romeo Coolio can do it. Oscar's brother can do it. And Oscar's brother is a significantly
Could Oscar's
bigger
brother
horse.
be the forgotten about horse in this if he lines up?
Yeah, what did you make of him? Because he's coming from a much smaller yard. The JP team have gone out of the way to buy him. They have a very good record when they go and buy horses in these circumstances. This horse keeps being sent off a well-backed favourite as well. For a trainer who only has 2 horses, even before JP got involved, they knew what they had.
He's dual champion apprentice. He rode over jumps. He's worked in England and big yards in Ireland, and he's even when he was younger. I don't know Conor particularly well, but he'd always had an old head and young shoulders, didn't he? He's champion apprentice at 16 and 17, wasn't he? With Jessica Harrington, and he's been in good yards. Whether he trained, that wouldn't affect bother me in the slightest. A guy with this fella's experience, even though he's very young. Having a runner here, look how well he's done with this horse so far.
Yeah,
he's brought him along. He sold him to JP, and he keeps winning. I think he might lack a bit of class maybe for this race, but he could be forgotten about because is there value in the other two? Probably not at the prices they're at.
And just before we go to Adam, I mean it's kind of outrageous that Wendigo's not getting mentioned as properly as he should by a number of people. So we'll give him his flowers. He's beaten first time out, but weighed out backs up that form. He's very impressive in the Grade 2. Caught a Star Novice Chase at Kempton that probably didn't really suit him. A bit sharp for him, yeah. Yeah, wouldn't have been a track that would suited him, and the way the race panned out wouldn't have suited him either. Lovely prep at Ayr, found the weakest race possible, wins it in nice style. Probably the horse who was most inconvenienced in the Albert Bartlett last season. Horses who ran well in Grade 1 company over hurdles the season before have got good records in those Grade 1 Novice Chases at Cheltenham, and he's had a lovely, lovely preparation.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off. He stays, doesn't he? Which is a big thing for this, and then he's guaranteed to get up the hill. Whether he's as classy as some of the others, I don't know. But if someone fancied him, it's hard to say he's not good enough, isn't it?
Big market move today. Cocktail Dividend's been really shoved out by the 1xBet team, so perhaps it is going to be the handicap for him of a very favourable rating, perhaps. Adam Mills, your latest thoughts on the Brown Advisory?
Yeah, it's quite a difficult race to kind of come to terms with, because Final Demand on the one hand was 6-4 for this on the 1st of December, and he's 7-2 now. But it is a bit of a wife sister, this bet, and it really, you shouldn't, you shouldn't do it. You do it anyway, and straight after you regret it. It's just too short. I can't. I'd be annoyed if the Final Demand comes back. Then you can go, yeah, well done, Willie. You turned him round, brilliant. But the alternative is that I have 25 quid on Final Demand thinking Willie's a genius, even though I've watched him at Leopardstown as he's crawled over the line, knowing full well that he's probably not what I thought he was. Last year, I spent the whole time telling everyone to take him on. I just got to let him run, and if he wins, fair enough. I don't think Romeo Coolio will run. I don't really fancy the big Westerner. Kate Doughty, I can definitely see. And I could Wendigo. I think if I was on Wendigo when he was like 20s, I'd be really happy, because I think I've got a nice each way bet there. Just worry about his class. Western Fold maybe we'll come to in a minute. The only Oscar's Brother, I can see it to a point. The Wall Park did absolutely diddly squat for that form this afternoon. He ran a terrible race. So, I do think Oscar's Brother is very nice and very interesting. But I also think Connor King has done a brilliant job of placing this horse and finding relatively winnable Grade 2 races with him. And I just wonder if that's a deliberate plan or whether they're just kind of slowly building him up. So that would put me off a little. I have had a bet in this race, which I had over the weekend. That's also a wife sister bet, really, but I did it, and I'm kind of going to stick with it. But 6Milebridge, once it went non-runner no bet, I thought I'm going to have a bit of money on 6Milebridge, because I did the notes from a report when he won the Silly Isles at Sandown. And actually, everyone looked at that race and went, oh, well, 6Milebridge won, but Kitzbuhel fell, and Carla Conti's absolutely useless after Christmas. And all of that's true. But then I went back and looked on Friday, because Miami Magic dotted up, admittedly in a pretty straightforward race at Newbury, but he really bolted up.
We covered on TalkSport too,
Yeah, the time was good. His jumping figures were good. And I thought, actually, 6Milebridge gave you a pretty sound beating at Sandown. His jumping scores were really good. He got into a really nice rhythm. He made every yard. If they go here, which I think is surely... He's in all three races, including the Jack Richards, but I think they'll come here rather than run in the Jack Richards. I could see him getting into a rhythm out in front. I don't think he'll make jumping errors. I think the pace will suit him. It's Fergal O'Brien. He's yet to train a Cheltenham Festival winner, and I know that would be something that I'd normally look to try and use to my advantage. But I do think this horse is not getting the credit he deserves. And he's won all three starts over fences. He's looked very solid. He hasn't really, to my eye, made any significant mistakes. At the start of the season, when he turned over Derry-Aston-Paddy at Ayr, I think everyone was spent far too much time looking at the runner-up rather than looking at what the winner did. He's beaten Calafay and Vole and Royal Infantry doing handstands at Cheltenham in a Novice Chase in December. I think everything's kind of coming together for him. I think he's still improving. He's a big price. So I took a little bit of each way about 6Milebridge. Probably more in the expectation that my place value is bigger than my win value. But there's lots of reasons to think if Final Demand didn't run his race, did that then flatter Kate Doughty? Quite possibly. Wendigo, bless him, would be in the National Hunt Chase if it wasn't a 0-145 now, because I think he's a future national as far as he can get. Western Fold has a lot of solid form in the book, and you won't get too many novices coming in here with Galway Plate wins. But I also think with Western Fold, I'm kind of like, I know he's going to run his race, but I'm not sure there's any real improvement to come yet. I think he's just hitting that level. Henry de Bromhead's form worries me about Cocktail Divan. Kitzbuhel won't run, and everything else just isn't going to win. So I kind of went down the list, found enough holes, and then I went, well, there's no real hole in 6Milebridge other than the fact that his trainer's yet to win at the festival. So for that reason, I went in each way, and I'm going to probably stick to those guns.
And to be fair, he was disappointing over hurdles last season at the Cheltenham Festival, but so was Kate Doughty. And Kate Doughty is a 9-2 shot, who was a Grade 1 winner last time out, over the same trip. This fella's a Grade 1 winner, and yet He's unbeaten over fences in 3 starts. His form has worked out reasonably well. You can pick holes in it if you're thinking that these are horses who've gone on to win races in the 130s, but still, he's a 16-1 shot. You can get 20s. And Kate Doughty is a 9-2 shot. Any final thoughts on the Brown Advisory, Aidan Coleman?
No, I think we've covered it. Adam summed it up pretty well there. It's like the Arkle. It's going to be a good watch anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe final demand. I mean, they did send him off 3-1 on the other day. Maybe he comes roaring back. I want to take him on. It's Kate Doughty for me, but if you're a long-time listener to the show, you know I've backed him at fancy prices. So hopefully we're booking the flight. Well, normally I say booking the flights to Dubai. I don't know about that right now, actually. I've got God, between us, not harm. I've got a friend who's stuck over there at the moment. So shout out to all the team who are over there, and hope everybody is safe and sound. Okay, we're going to switch to the novice hurdlers. There's plenty of races to get stuck into in the novice hurdling divisions, and this Supreme Novice Hurdle is one of the best that I can remember to kick off at Cheltenham Festival. This is extraordinary. The betting with 1xbet in Ireland right now is All Park Star 15-8. Mighty Park has been very well supported. Is this going to be another Willie Mullins bingo situation where they switch at the last second? 11-2 now with him. Remember what happened with Ballyburn. Talk the Talk, a 6-1 shot again with 1xbet in Ireland. El Kairos, 13-2. Mydaddypaddy has been very well supported. He's a double figure price still alongside Ballyfad. And then Sober Glory has drifted out slightly. I wrote a piece about him the other day for 1xbet, 12-1 shot. Idaho Sun's getting a lot of love from a number of people, 14s. This is a red hot Supreme Novice Hurdle, Aidan. It's probably going to be a pretty decent field. Who would you be siding with?
I love Old Pack Star. Yeah, I think he's done the most this year. I think he's been impressive everywhere, and I think Nicky is only just getting him wound up for Cheltenham. Yeah, like the El Cairos or whatever. Like it is interesting to hear like how like sweet Jack Kennedy is, and how like he raves about him, and like anyone who knows Jack knows that like he doesn't rave about an awful lot, does he? Or he never has ever. So the fact that he's kind of this horse's biggest fan vocally is it does make me think. Yeah, fair enough, but I just don't think he's done enough for me.
How difficult is it to go from novice hurdle company right into a grade 1 at the Cheltenham Festival?
I suppose with novices, it's probably they're all kind of much of a muchness. If they ran, not all of them have ran in grade 1s anyway. But you'd like to see them ran in. Like, to be fair, the Speedy went down over the last 2 in Thurles, nearly came unstuck again, and the Speedy was going to the last at Leopardstown. You know, I don't think the pace or anything like that is going to be an issue. I think he obviously is a very talented horse, but I just think the likes of an Old Park Star has just done a bit more for me. And Nicky Henderson, the Supreme, is, you know, if he's got a fancy to win in it, it's very hard to go against him.
Obviously, massively improved over hurdles. The line that you used, Adam Mills, was this was a Constitution Hill-esque performance. You weren't saying it was Constitution Hill, just esque performance with that effort at Haydock. I mean, it was pretty extraordinary. John Bond ran a massive race in that a couple of years ago before finishing second in this race. So it's got a proven track record for taking horses to the Cheltenham Festival.
And Nicky does use it as a trial. He would not have been anywhere near wound up.
Yeah, which is another frightening proposition that this horse is going to be even better on the back of that. So
that's what I think.
Factor potential improvement into him. I mean, there's plenty of people who'll tell you the RPR and the time form ratings that he ran to the other day, Adam, would be enough to win a typical Supreme. First question, is this a typical Supreme? How highly do you regard Old Park Star?
I think it is probably a typical Supreme. It's competitive behind Old Park Star, but I think I want to stick with Old Park Star. I don't necessarily think I want to go. I'll put my cards on the table. So I've managed to scrape myself 9-2 shortly after we crossed the line at Haydock.
Good man.
You know, not sure I'd be going in again. I did have a small bet this morning in that he is 10-1 to win next year's Champion Hurdle. So I've probably thrown my £7.50 away. But I just thought, is there a chance that this horse absolutely bombs up in this Supreme, wins by 5 lengths, and then we're going to watch a really average-looking Champion Hurdle where they could all finish in a heap? And
I think that's highly possible, isn't it?
Yeah, and this horse is suddenly 4-1 for the Champion Hurdle. So I thought, you know what, sod it. Let's sit and stare at a losing bet stick for 12 months. But there is that kind of like, that looks an option for me. I mean, Old Park Star is one there's no any holes in. Mighty Park is kind of like, well, he's won by half the track, beating Rock Dino. We don't really know what that form is worth. We don't even really know which race he's going to run in. Talk the Talk is the one I fear most, because I think Talk the Talk will be outpaced and then he'll be coming at me. And if Old Park Star jumps the last in front, of all of those in behind, the one I'd most expect to be flying is Talk the Talk. I personally think Old Park Star is just a much more reliable proposition, but he's a definite danger. I don't like El Kairos. I had a theory at the start of the season that I was going to back everything that David Maxwell sold. Because as much as I love David, I thought, wow, these horses have got to improve a stone for a proper jockey.
Actually, that doesn't work though, you see.
No, I don't think it does. And I think what's actually happened is none of these horses really understand what a driving finish is. So when
I just don't think jockeys make that much difference in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, you're being too modest, Aidan. You're being too modest.
Not a stone.
Maybe not. I don't know if it's about improvement with these. I just think with El Kairos, he looks fine. And then when he's asked to quicken, he's kind of like, oh, just go. And he doesn't, there's no real thought process. It's just, I run as fast as I can. And if I hit the hurdle, I mean, the Thurley's mistake is the one that bugs me. The thing that happened at Leopardstown can happen, and he nearly saved himself. But the Thurley's one, I'm like, you had the race won. There's no pressure. What you doing? And it reminded me a lot of the mistake Constitution Hill made in the International last year, where you think, what are you doing? Where's that come from? That would worry me. The only other thing that in my notes I don't understand is, how is Idaho Sun a considerably bigger price than Mydaddypaddy?
This is crazy.
I know there was Low Sun, and it was effectively a Grade 1 bumper at Aintree. But Mydaddypaddy loomed up, and Idaho Sun batted him away and beat him by 3 lengths. And yet he's a bigger price. Idaho Sun is a much more genuine horse. I don't think you can be held up and win a Supreme. Maybe that's just my opinion.
I think one thing for sure is we're not going to look this as a Supreme like the Q card, Swinta Sacra, on that Alpha off. I don't think it's going to be a Supreme. It could be a good race, but I don't think it's going to be a Supreme for the ages, is it?
Well, I don't know. I think this could be a really good Supreme.
No. The best Supreme I've ever seen was Altior beating Min and Bouvedere. And I look at this and think, I don't really see where the future champion chase, champion hurdlers are, other than Old Park stuff.
That's what I mean. I don't think we're going to look back at this Supreme and think there's the champion hurdle winners and champion chase winners of the next 5 years.
I'm not so sure about that. The Leopardstown form, Talk the Talk, Ballyfad. I really like that race.
Could Talk the Talk go for the other hurdle race though?
There was a gamble on him the other day. Now Joseph has come out and said they're still leaning towards the Supreme, but right now the Supreme is the race they're going for. But given the weight of money that came from, you wouldn't be shocked. Do you think that trip would? Yeah. Do you think that trip would suit him better?
I think it would. I think it would. I think he's not a slow horse. I think he's a very good horse, but I think he'd be better off in this race.
Be some crack.
Not this race, the 2-5.
Some crack if they end up swapping and Ballyfad goes for the Supreme and Talk the Talk goes for the Turners, and it's Ballyburn / Slate Steel all over again. But we'll see what the decision is between the teams there.
It is going to happen though, isn't it? Stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
This race,
absolutely.
There is decisions like this going to happen next week.
And this has happened for years. Brave Inca, over 20 years ago, Brave Inca was switched from the Turners, what is now the Turners, to the Supreme Novice Hurdle the Saturday before the Cheltenham Festival. This has always gone on for years. People get in a tizzy about it now, but this has been going on for
it's not going to change. There's no point worrying about it.
No, it's not. But Willie Mullins has been really talking up King Rasco Grey, saying that he felt that the horse wasn't 100%. He had some analogy for how fat the horse looked beforehand, that he'll come forward significantly from that. Whether you agree with that or not, the Royal Bond form has worked out really well with the Passing Wife and Each to Their Own. And the first and second from that race are fourth and fifth, 6 lengths behind Talk the Talk, Ballyfad and King Rasco Grey. So just purely on a form perspective, that race looks really good. I thought Talk the Talk showed a fantastic turn of foot that day. I really liked Ballyfad. I loved him in bumpers. That performance he put up at Punchestown at the John Durkin Memorial meeting, where he's somehow managed to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat to rally back and win. I love that. Loved his debut over hurdles, only second start, and he's placed in a Grade 1 and looked like he was going to, I thought he had won. I love that performance from him. As long as they come out of it okay after running on heavy ground, then those two horses are very, very interesting. And then you've got Mighty Park, who we've only seen the once, did it very impressively, and unprompted William Mullins is comparing him to Faugheen. So this is a
They're
red
going
hot
to be
race.
separated, aren't they? That's
Yeah.
one thing for sure, isn't it?
Well, you would think so, but then he's got leader Dallier as well, who he's also tucking up. Just one horse I wanted to ask you about, Aidan, is Sober Glory, who I thought was really impressive at Newbury.
Yeah.
It was heavy ground, but the time figure was very, very strong. In fact, it's the highest of all the top speed figures. What do you make of him?
Yeah, really good horse. Yeah, I don't actually know why, and I'm doing this as well, why we're overlooking him.
Yeah.
And I just find it hard to fancy him. But I really, when you look into it, I don't know why I'm thinking that way. Because the form is there, as you said. The time at Newbury was good. It was even better than the winner of the whatever that race is called now, the old Betfair Schweppes Toko Trophy, whatever it is these days. And yeah, it worked out a lot better that time, wasn't it? And that was visually very impressive. Tutti Conti, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he was 3-4 seconds faster than Tutti Conti as well.
Which is huge.
Is it possible that he's ripped the guts out of himself? Has he given himself too hard a race?
No, because I think he's had hard races all his life, this horse, Sober Glory. Looks like he's had hard enough races, and he keeps coming back and looking better than ever. I think he thrives off racing. He's a very, very likeable horse. And I said, I don't know why I don't fancy him more.
Yeah, I do. I really fancy him. I think he's going to run a huge race.
What does Adam think?
What does Adam Mills think?
Don't like him. Sorry. I don't. This one of those I don't see. I just think he might lead and he'll be swamped. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being a bit kind of like I've nailed my colours to Old Park Stars master. I'm going to hang on that. That's
kind of what I'm doing, I think.
Yeah, I just like the win at Chepstow was all right. It was really impressive, but like the time figure at that time of year, the ground was quicker than probably we've seen before, so it perhaps made him look faster than he is. The Newbury wins have been nice, but they've been in novice hurdle company, and the only time they've really stepped him up at all, he came up a long way short of Hurricane Pat. Now, there are excuses that day, but I'd still argue kind of the overall profile of his form says he's won 7 of his 8 races, and yet he's never been tried higher than listing level. So why is that? Surely you'd have looked at something like the Form B, or you might have thought about having a go in some kind of pattern class by now to see whether he's up to it. I feel like they've campaigned him really well. I think he's going to be a really nice chasing prospect. I think
would have been very interesting to see him in this year's Thornbury, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it would have suited him ideally. I think because the low sun would have really helped. I think he's won. If I was being really harsh, I think he'd be running in a handicap if the rules were different, because he's kind of come out of these novice races with a rating of 148, and I think that'd be more their route. He's a very nice horse. I think he'll lead, but I think there's class behind him, and I'm not sure he's got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Final selections for the Supreme Novice Hurdle as things stand. Aidan Coleman.
Old Park Star.
Adam Mills.
Old Park Star.
I'm very interested in Sober Glory, but I think the scumbag each way play is probably you do the related contingency double, talk the talk Ballyfad, or Ballyfad talk the talk, which brings us nicely along to the Turners Novice Hurdle, which we can talk about in more detail because this is going to be a really intriguing race as well. But before we talk about that, we give you the betting update from 1xBet. You can sign up to 1xBet right now in Ireland by clicking the link in the episode description for the official betting partner of PSG and Barcelona FC. You can see their logo during all the big Barcelona games. More than 7,000 events for you to get stuck into every single day. Fast withdrawals, new customer sign-up offers. You can sign up now by clicking the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website in Ireland. 1xBet knows the crack. Bet with your head, not above it. So 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly. Your game, your odds, your 1xBet. Turners, first race, day 2 of Cheltenham. No drama this end is favourite for Paul Nicholls. What do you make of him overall, Aidan? Because obviously he's been favourably compared to Denman by Paul Nicholls. He's bidding to do what the new line did last year, go from the Cheltenham Hurdle to go and win at Cheltenham, and he was very impressive in his 3 starts so far. And to be fair, all of a sudden his form, having looked very weak, suddenly looks really good. Heads Up has come out and been a very impressive winner, and one of the horses that he conquered the other day has come out and bolted up as well at Newbury. So what's your overall impression of No Drama Descent?
I think he's going to put the Challow stat where nothing that the Challow wins at Cheltenham, other than take last year's exception out, back in play. I think he's a very, very good horse for next year over fences. I just don't buy into him as just yet as a hurdler at this level. He's obviously very talented, don't get me wrong, but I think he's going to be like Paul Nicholls' other Cello winners, i.e. Denman, etc. He's a very, very good horse, but he's just not for me next week.
Brave Man's Game. God, that was the horse they sent off favourite behind Imperi Pass a couple of years ago, whose name is suddenly Hermes Allen.
Yeah,
they all look
good horses. They won good races afterwards, but just I think obviously the New Lion broke the stat last year.
But he's favourite for the Champion Hurdle. He might just be the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How are you feeling about no drama this end now, Adam Mills?
The same as when we spoke about this race in January. If I wanted to take him on when he was 11-4, I'm still happy to take him on at 4s. I just don't. No. Sometimes it's just obvious, but surely we've spent the last 10 years, if they've taught you anything, it's that Irish novice hurdles are deeper than British novice hurdles. And with the exception of the New Lion, the Cello does not produce winners of this race. And I look at the horses he's beaten. I accept there's been some winners behind him, but it's not like those winners of one grade ones. The horses behind him have been winning handicaps and have been winning handicaps off marks in the 120s, low 130s. That's not the same.
You're always going to have winners behind him in a race like this, aren't you?
Yeah, you'd expect so. And particularly the new handicap rules are kind of ridiculous, that you can have running certain handicaps with 3 runs, others with 4, and then you get the 5. So you're going to have novices where the connections roll out of 3 runs with a mark in the 120s. Think, well, we'll just go for a handicap. Or there's also connections you think, well, I've got to go for a handicap in my horse because I can't run at Cheltenham unless I've qualified anyway. So the form can sometimes be flattering. I think he's a very nice horse. I think he's probably going to win the Cato Star Novices Chase at Kempton in December. Yeah. But in this race, he'll be found out.
Yeah.
He's not fast enough.
Who is most likely to find him out? Aidan.
I have a sneaking suspicion Talk to Talk is going to go for this race. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of that money yesterday or whatever, but I could just see him rocking up in this.
Well, this race might just suit him that little bit better.
I think it will, I think it will. I think he did very well to win from where he was at Leopardstown. And if they're going to ride him again like that, which he was obviously quite happy to be ridden for, would really suit him this race, wouldn't it? Just creep away over an extended trip that he's used to, but no doubt he'd stay. I just think if he rocked up here, I just think with, say, the favourite, no drama this end, like I think if a Talk to Talk, even a Skylight Hustle, Mighty Park, I think all of them could beat him if they turn up. Not all of them are going to run, are they? But a couple of them aren't. And whatever of them turn up, I would just fancy him to beat no drama. My end or this end.
What I find fascinating about this is the betting for it. It's not just the fact that this gamble has developed on Talk to Talk. It's that only a week or so ago, you're looking at this huge gamble on Mighty Park, who becomes favourite for the race, Adam. And now all of a sudden, he's friendless for this. He's come out to 7-1. Talk to Talk has come into 5s. And yet there still isn't support for no drama this end. It's not like in opposition to some of these, like Mighty Park drifting out of the race because it's at this moment in time, the winds of change are suggesting he's going to go for the Supreme, that suddenly this means now the support comes flocking back in for the Nicholls horse. And in fact, the money has come for Skylight Hustle instead. Ballyfad has been pushed out by the 1xBet traders. He was 7s at one point. He's gone out to 8s. It's a really confusing betting market.
It is, but there's one running theme, which is that everyone wants to take on no drama this end.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Paul Nicholls will be giving it the big one on the rail if he comes out and wins, turning around that Johnny Deneen and everyone else and telling him I told you. I did have a bet in this race a couple of weeks ago on Active Innocence, who I think is very interesting. I thought the Huntington Wren win was really good. I think there's a bit of class about this horse. I don't really worry about the defeated Newbury trying to give 2 stone to a decent juvenile. That can happen. But it is, you're right, it's completely wide open. You kind of have to make a couple of decisions. Do you want to go in on Mighty Park on the basis that the people talking about him seem to think that he's a future Gold Cup winner? And I'm hearing, there's lots of preview nights and people say this horse is amazing. And but he's, what does he actually
need a bit more
experience
to have my confidence, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah, no, I think it's very easy to look sexy when you win a maiden hurdle at Fairy House on soft ground where nothing else is really put in the race. You get the complete run of things in front. You don't have any pressure on your jumping. You don't have any pressure on your pace. Rock Dino in second has been consistently disappointing. And everything else in that race is, wouldn't even be getting on the boat to Cheltenham. I mean, the third, for example, since we're running there, was 11th of 17 at Thurles and 14th of 18 today at Leopardstown. So, actually, what did he beat in that maiden hurdle?
Nothing.
So, yeah, you've got to have a large leap of faith, and at the prices, I'm not too keen to talk the talk. I mean, the interesting one for me, if I was going to go in again, would be Dr. Steinberg. Because I think this is the race Dr. Steinberg should run in. Because I actually think he's got more speed than they're giving him credit for. But the fact he won the Nathaniel Lacey on heavy ground over 2.6 may well lean them towards the other race. And I think they might look at the Albert Bartlett and think we could win that. So it's probably the harder race to work out. At least with the Supreme, you're like, right, Old Park Star is going to be favourite. And it's just, can anything beat? In this race, I couldn't even tell you what's going to go off favourite, let alone get a really strong opinion. So I've backed Active Innocence. I will probably stick with that, but I might have a little savour on Dr. Steinberg if he lines up.
I think Shuttle Diplomacy is very interesting, and we've been saying all along he'd be fascinating for a handicap, and why didn't they get him qualified? Well, maybe there's a reason for that. Cryptic Jim is really interesting. He's got experience of Cheltenham. The horse who was third behind himself in Thoris Bay, Fortune Timmy, was only 4 lengths off Old Park Star in his previous starts. He's very interesting. Sober's been talked up. I don't know about that, but maybe King Rasco Grey, if they decided to go for this race, this step up and trip might suit him better in this race. And Ballyfad, I've already made the point about Ballyfad, who I really like that horse. I kind of wonder if he'd be better suited to the Supreme Novice Hurdle overall, but it's a really, really intriguing running of the Brown Advisory of the Turners Novice Hurdle, and well, hopefully we'll have the final answers and the full daily previews, which are coming your way very, very soon on the Final Furlong podcast. Is the nap of the entire week Bambino Fever, the champion bumper winner in the Mares Novice Hurdle? Aidan Coleman.
I think that Mares is as simple as that, yeah.
She continues to shorten. She's 5-4 now at 1xBet in Ireland. Old School Outlaw, who's beaten her and has since gone on to be a very impressive winner of a Grade 3, is the 7-2 second favourite, but is drifting. The horse that I was talking up not so long ago, Kingston Queen, whose form is there for everybody to see. She's smashed up Cryptic Jim on debut. She's sent off favourite for the race that Old Park Star wins, and she's won a race that 2 individual winners have come out subsequently to go and win this race. You Wear It Well and Love Envoi, winning that race at Warwick before going on to win this one. But she's a 20-1 shot. There's no support for her whatsoever, whereas every time you look up, Bambino Fever seems to be getting that little bit shorter in the betting, Adam Mills. Is this the moment? Does William Millens get himself back into the winner's enclosure with the Ryanair Mares Novice Hurdle?
I'm all right. I'll leave that if you don't mind. It's not for me. I can see the angle. She's champion bumper winner. She's probably going to be suited by this track as well. But the horse who beat her is a bigger price, and it bugs me that the horse who beat her is a bigger price. It doesn't seem right, because I looked at that race, and you look at the way after they jumped the last, Old School Outlaw just keeps finding. She kept finding. She was good enough to hold her off. It wasn't like Paul Townend got his fractions wrong. Old School Outlaw is a very, very talented mare. She beat Plaster and Ashen by 9 lengths. I think that's fairly solid form. The time before, she won the bumper, beating Royal Hillsborough by 6.5 lengths. Now, Royal Hillsborough really, well, I won't say what happened at Leopardstown, but he should probably, that horse should be a Grade 2 winner at Leopardstown in a bumper. So all the form really checks out for Old School Outlaw. She ran reasonably well in point to point. She didn't win one, but she did. She's got good bumper form. She went to Aintree last year, and yet she's drifting like people can't have her. And I just look at it and think, I'm not certain that form would be reversed. And at what point do I have to go in on Old School Outlaw and think, you know what, if you get to 9-2, 5-1, am I going to have to go each way? The race is between the two of them. Nothing else matters in this. This is the reverse forecast of the week. This is just to chuck these two in and you'll get paid at 5-1. I cannot see anything else getting near them. I think they're miles clear of the rest of these. It's just a straightforward question as to which one you fancy. And if Old School Outlaw does get out to 9-2, 5-1, I'll have to go. I'll have to. Because that's just an each way bet to nothing. And I'd rather do that than take a short prize about Bambino Fever, because if she gets beat by a horse who's already beat her, that's just poor form stuff.
Well, if Kingston Queen finishes third and you've taken 20-1, you'll get more money backing her for your place than you do backing Bambino Fever 5-4 to win. And if she manages to go and finish in front of Old Skylight Hustle like she did in the entry bumper last season and put up the performance that she did when she smashed up Cryptic Jim on her hurdling debut, then maybe there's a chance she goes and wins the race and you're getting 20-1. So I'll take her. But I understand why people are very excited about Bambino Fever, and you were kind of excited about her as well, Aidan. She is the champion bumper winner. The form of that race has worked out very, very well, and the Mullins camp seem to be extremely confident.
Yeah, so she's just, as you say, she keeps getting shorter, doesn't she? I do agree with what Adam says. It doesn't really make any sense that the one that beat her with no excuses either is a bigger price. But at the same time, I just, she's won a champion bumper. That record and those races speak for itself. Willie, I think she's one of the naps of the week, really.
16-1, 10-1, 16-1, 15-2, 5-1, 9-2, 50-1. The SPs of the most recent winners of the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. Willie Mullins' last win with Concertista in 2020. His last two winners, 9-2 and 50-1 of this race. But Bambino Fever brings very strong credentials to the race, and maybe it is just as simple as get stuck in. The last race we're going to talk about is the race that I find almost the least interesting to have a conversation about, because I think it's an absolute nightmare of a race that you really shouldn't be having a look at until the night before for proper serious betting. And the reason I'll say that is for the exact same reason that I just mentioned the SPs in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle. The recent winners, the last 10 winners of the potato race, the Albert Bartlett Novice Hurdle, are 11-1, 16-1, 33-1, 50-1, 5-1, 14-1, 18-1, 18-1, 33-1, and 6-1. You've had a horse that's come out and won the Gold Cup, sent off a 50-1 shot in this race. A horse that came out and won the Stayers Hurdle the very next season, sent off 16-1 in this race as well. Yeah. Even the Brown Advisory runner-up, Stellar Story, was a 33-1 shot. Good luck to you if you're getting stuck into Dr. Steinberg at a short price with the devil you know at 9-2. I'm not saying they can't win, but this is a fiendishly difficult race, Aidan.
Every year it is. I hate this race. I literally hate it. But I rode in it plenty. If I owned the horse, I wouldn't run it now. I think it's absolute. I know, as you say, winners come out of it, but it's such an unnecessary slog for young horses. As you say, the prices speak for themselves. I just can't. I know last year was the double green horse was fancied, wasn't it? What's his name?
Jasmine DeVoe. He could not jump at all. But to be fair to Daryl Jacob, he told us on this show, I'm telling you, this track is going to suit him. And the track configuration is very, very different on the new course over the 3 months.
There's 2 jumps in the last 7 furlongs.
Yeah. So it suited him.
And it's a lot kinder jumping track. I know, so that was a fancied winner of this race, but in general, it's just, I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. I don't like it for the horses. Now I don't ride anymore. Wouldn't like it as a betting race. I'm quite happy to kind of sit this one out, to be honest. Yeah,
I feel the same way. I don't have a selection for the race, except to say, wouldn't be stunned if Dr. de Menil was to come roaring back. Jalan Dideri is the one that interests me because of his champion bumper form, but geez, he'd need to improve. But hey, maybe the step up and trip and the relentless gallop will bring out the best in him. Adam, do you have a selection for us?
Not really. The only thing I would say is that there's a horse in here who's won a Grade 1 and he's getting no love at all in either race that he's in. And I'll sort that.
Yeah, Declan
who hasn't really done anything wrong, has won his last 4 starts over hurdles, has looked quite progressive, clearly stays. Normally, whatever wins it's not called the Lawless and Ace anymore. I think it's called the Ballymore, but it used to be called the Lawless and Ace in the good old days. Whatever wins that would be in the first 2 in the betting for whatever Cheltenham Novice Hurdle it's being aimed at. And this thing's a double figure price for both the Turners and this race. Presumably more because of connections than anything else, although the form is perhaps a little bit suspect. But more repelled Sortudo. He didn't scrape home. He deserved to win on the day. It was a really good performance.
And Declan Quealy's been around long enough now to prove that he knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I don't think it's impossible to think that this horse could just be the obvious pick, but I think you have to go back to, what I mean, Harry, to the last time I backed the winner of this. So it's not a race I've got much love for. No. It is going to be an absolute slog. The ground by Friday may well have dried out. And if it becomes good ground, it's a completely different race to everything that all of these horses have been running on. So who knows what might improve. The only other one I would forgive is Willie Mullins has St. Baker in here. Now, he's got entries in all 3 novice hurdles, so God knows where he's going to run. Probably Wexford the week after now, Willie. But it's a real, who knows? No one's really sure. He was 9-2 for that Lawless and Ace. He just didn't handle the ground at all. The low sun wasn't in his favour. I think he's a lot better than that. He was certainly a lot better than that when he ran in France. He's missed a bit of time on a couple of occasions, but so you look at his French form, for example, he was within a length of Music Maestro, who's a good yardstick. So he should improve for the step up in trip if he runs in this race, although he's massively lacking experience. They used to say you wanted a battle hard one for this, and then Manella Indo won it off the back of just a couple of runs, and it was like, no, you don't need it. Actually, I think this race over time will just revert to type, and it becomes the ones that handle the real slog, the real battle, and the real effort to get up the hill. I could see I'll sort that going forwards, running prominently, using his experience. I think he's quite a solid each way bet, but he'll probably be 12s on the day. There's not going to be a massive gamble on a Declan Queenie horse, I don't think. So for that reason, you can just sit on it and wait till next Thursday evening.
Okay. The novice chaser that you were most excited to see in action at the Cheltenham Festival, Aidan Coleman, is?
Well, to see in action is probably Kopek Des Bordes, whether I back him or not. But I think, obviously, the worry I have is he's coming in here at one run. But he's going to be, I'm really excited to see how he runs, because he's obviously a very, very talented horse. It's not the one I'm going to be backing. I said I'm nailing my colours to Romeo Coolio in that race, which is playing the real safe man's bet. But I really am excited about Kopek Des Bordes, but I just couldn't back him with his experience.
Yeah, that's the major concern for me as well. I don't doubt the ability of the horse, but 2-1 about a horse who's only had one run and you haven't seen him since November. Imperial Pass may very well have been in behind in that schooling session the other day, and they may very well have replicated race conditions, but what were the instructions for Imperial Pass? I have no idea. What is the novice chaser you're more excited to back, Adam Mills?
I'm convinced myself that Sixmilebridge is going to run a massive race in this Brown Advisory.
Okay.
It's probably an idiotic figure. When he finishes 6th, I think, you spend all this time looking at trainer form and trends, and then you just tear it all up because you like a nice bit of data. But I do think he's massively overlooked. I'm kind of hoping they go there. You've got to wait because he's in the Jack Richards too. But just don't underestimate this horse. He's actually really solid. Really solid. Forget everything else and just watch him. He's beaten Miami Magic doing handstands. There's every chance in that Brown Advisory.
Miami Magic looked like he was in bother against a Nicky Henderson horse the other day. Absolutely battered them. Was playing with them. Only playing with them he was. That looks like it's pretty decent form. Aidan, the novice hurdler you're most excited to see in action at Cheltenham is?
Old Park Star. Very boring one, but
vibes are strong.
I can't see past him. I think Nicky is you got Shishkins and Altiors and bloody hell, whatever else he's won the race with, and I know from riding a lot for Nicky in the run between kind of Christmas and Cheltenham, when John Bunn won the Kingmaker as a novice chase and he won the Haydock race, he was only 70-75%. Because Nicky uses that very much. They run at Christmas and then they have 2 or 3 weeks basically walking, and then he trains them up, uses the trial as a trial, and then he goes again. So I think that horse is going to be better than he was at Haydock. If
this horse was only 70-80% fit at Haydock, my goodness.
Well, I don't, but that's what
No, we're not saying that. You're just saying from past experience.
Yeah.
That is something that can happen. Yeah. The progression this horse could have for his 4th start over hurdles for Nicky Henderson is...
Nicky's record at Cheltenham is as good as it is for a very good reason. He targets it.
Yeah, and he has a fantastic record in the Arkle and a fantastic record in the Supreme as well. Adam Mills, the novice hurdler you were most excited to back is?
To back would be Act of Innocence in the Turners, because the same connections will surely not take on Old Park Star.
Mm-hmm.
Because he went to Huntingdon, he's being overlooked. But I remember 5-6 years ago when Shishkin won at Huntingdon, there was this stupid stat of 147 novices have run at Huntingdon before the Cheltenham Festival, and none of them have won. And Shishkin won the Supreme despite everything going wrong. And he cantered in and won it doing handstands. So I think that Huntingdon Form's been overlooked, and I think Active Innocence might prove to be the big price that's been overlooked in the Turners.
You can get over 2-1 about Old Park Star for the Supreme for Aidan. You can get 10-1 about Active Innocence for the Turners for Adam Mills. Is it going to be a Nicky Henderson day 1 and 2 first timer wins? There's a lot of confidence that they're going to have a double on day 1. More on that to come on the Final Furlong podcast. That's the betting with 1xBet, 2-1 for Old Park Star as things stand. I think you're going to get bigger on the day, actually, because it's such a big field and there's so much hype about other horses. And 10-1 the price with 1xBet in Ireland about Active Innocence for the Turners. You can click the link in the episode description. It'll take you right to the 1xBet website for more information. That is it. Aidan Coleman, what is your plan for Cheltenham 2026? Your second year going, having retired.
Yeah, I do a bit of corporate work, which is fine. And then I'll stay and watch a few races. If I could get out before the first, I would probably do that and watch it at home. But
come racing, folks. No, come racing.
Yeah, but I've been going for 20 odd years now. It's very different for me. My dream was there when I was riding. So like, I'll never. It will never be the same once you've ridden there.
Of course.
I could highly recommend it to everybody else, but as far as ex-jockeys go, it's not probably the festival that you see. But I really look forward to the racing, though. That's why, in a way, I probably would watch more if I come home and watch it on the TV, or the local pub and watch it on the TV, rather than kind of watching it on a screen in a bar. I think it's going to be really good. Like I said, there was a 1 odds on shot at a meeting, probably.
Yeah.
Well, Lossie Mountain the Mares if she even runs in it.
Which she will.
Great racing, isn't it?
That's incredible. Like 4 odds on shots on day 1 last year. Only the 1 as things stand, and there's not a guarantee that she actually runs in the race at all. It's brilliant. We've got it covered for you here on the Final Furlong podcast. Paul Ferguson joins us for the handicap special tomorrow on the show in association with Weatherby's. Paige Fuller from Race IQ Data has the full Race IQ Data breakdown for you on Wednesday's show. We've got the weekend preview, multiple winners last weekend, 8 winners alone on the podcast the weekend before that, so hopefully we'll set you up nicely for Cheltenham, and then the daily previews coming your way as well. Some more Final Furlong podcast Cheltenham specials too. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you need to smash the subscribe button so you never miss an episode of the Final Furlong podcast. Hit a like on this episode if you like the stuff from Aidan Coleman and Adam Mills. We really appreciate you watching, we appreciate you listening, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon. From Aidan Coleman, Adam Mills, and me, Emmet Kennedy, look after yourself and each other. God bless.
Thanks for spending some time with us on the Final Furlong podcast. We're independent media, so if you like what we do, hit like, share, and subscribe. It's free, it's quick, and it genuinely helps. And if you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more where that came from. Don't miss out. Subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major platforms, and join us on the gravy train. The Final Furlong podcast, independent, unfiltered, and powered by you.